We good?
All right. Uh, Before I get started this afternoon, I uh, wanted to ask you to uh, pray. I might my study might get interrupted. My Yesterday my heat went out in my house, and so we stayed in the house last night. The Lord blessed us and got us through. But it's nothing like having your heat. So the man is supposed to come by today. And he just called me and said that he was on his way to my house, and my wife is there, so I may have to answer some questions. So hopefully, I can do it in between Bible studies. So uh, I would ask that you just pray that all that would get resolved, and that it would not empty my bank account. Amen. And then the other thing I was going to say, Sister Karen had brought it up, the book. uh, Conquering the Line in the Streets. Actually, I had to put in another order, so it should be in this week. So if you haven't got it, make sure that you make that connection to pick up your copy of Conquering the Line in the Street. I have one regret about this book, and the only regret is that I waited till I was 70 years old to write it. You know what? This thing is helping me, saints. I mean, it's taking away my excuses for things that I needed to be doing, and I wasn't doing. I'm taking care of my health, and I all for many years I had an excuse, why I couldn't, or I was going to do it tomorrow, I was going to start next week, and just some of the principles in here just took away my excuses. And so I've seen some changes, some uh, things happening. And like I said, my only regret is that I waited till I was 70 years old uh, to write this book, uh, because there's just some stuff in there that's really helping me. So I just wanted to say that. So we are continuing our series, Beatitude Check. And it's interesting. Let me say this. Uh, this this Bible study that we're doing is really helping me too. I mean, it is really bringing me to accountability. And I'll just give you one example. I was at the gym yesterday, and you go to certain machines to work out, and if there's nobody on the machine, you just get on the machine and work out. Well, I was getting ready to get on this machine to work out, and this young lady came and she said, "Excuse me," and I said, I looked up and she said, "I'm still on there." And I'll be honest with you, I kind of gave her one of them side-eye looks, and I was like, "Well, you weren't here." I mean, I didn't, and I told her that. I said, "Well, you weren't here." And in the back of my mind, I was thinking, well, how was I supposed to know that? If you just and so I said, well, how much longer are you going to be? And I was kind of short, and I'm at the gym with my Anchored in Jesus hoodie on, and the Lord convicted me. I mean, the Lord convicted me right there, and He said there was no humility, there was no humbleness, there was no there was no blessed are the meek in you. And so I looked all over the gym, and I finally saw the young lady, and I went up to her and I said, "Excuse me." I said, "I apologize. I shouldn't have responded the way that I did. And I'm truly, sorry, and I apologize." And she said, "Oh, there's no need, there's no need to apologize." I said, "No, I apologize." And so this these beatitudes are really helping me. And even in that situation, how the Holy Spirit, just brought to my mind that you are a kingdom citizen. You are a citizen of the kingdom. And this is the way kingdom citizens operate. They operate in meekness. And so I had to confess to the Lord. I had to ask the Lord to forgive me
Mm.
because of my attitude. So, saints, again, I hope that as we go through uh, these Bible studies on the Beatitudes, I hope you're just not leaving them here on Wednesday afternoon and then going about your way. I hope that you are getting the notes and that you would review the notes and they just don't stay on your computer or they don't get filed in the round file because as I put these together, I'm trying to be practical so that we can see how to apply these things to our life.
Also,
And so I just wanted to say that for me,
that's like,
it was a reality check,
and
because
oh,
I
yeah,
after I
okay.
said what I said to the young lady, I had to say beatitude check. And when I said beatitude check, my heart wasn't right. So
Mm,
uh,
mm,
I'm
mm,
saying beatitude check
mm.
as we go through today and we look at blessed are the merciful,
Oof.
for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. So let me remind you again that next week, we're not going to have any Bible study. We won't pick it back up till after the first of the year. So we'll send out a notification when we're going to start back. So just wanted you to make a note of that. All right, blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. I wanted to give you a test. Somebody said, I haven't taken a test since I've been in school. All right, I wanted to give you a test this afternoon, and there are four answers that you can give. Rarely true, sometimes true, often true, consistently true. So this is the mercy test. Let's see where you grade on your mercy. I think I have 9, 8. So we'll give you. I was going to put points to it, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to mess with y'all like that. So these are all things related to mercy that's going to be in the lesson today. The forgiveness test. I forgive those who have hurt me, even when it is difficult. Is that rarely true? Sometimes true, often true, or consistently true in your life? What number would you put in there? This is the mercy test. Number two, the reaction test. When people fail or disappoint me, my first response is compassion, ooh, woo, rather than criticism. Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy. I tell you what, man, these beatitudes been stepping all over my toes. And God said to me, I wasn't aiming for your toes. I was aiming for your heart. When people fail or disappoint me, my first response is compassion rather than criticism. Is that one, rarely true? Two, sometimes true? Three, often true? Or four, consistently true? Number three, the grace memory test. I regularly remember how much mercy God has shown me. Wow. Wow. I rarely, I regularly remember how much mercy God has shown me. Is that rarely true? Sometimes true? Often true? Or consistently true? I would say for me that it's probably number three. That I'm often reminded of, when I want to be hard and critical of somebody else, God often does a flashback in my life, and He shows me how merciful He has been to me over these years, and so I often reflect back on that. The helpfulness test. I willingly help people who cannot repay me or benefit me. Is that rarely true? sometimes true, often true, or consistently true. The speech test. My words are kind, gentle, and aimed at building others up. Rarely true, sometimes true, often true, consistently true. The prayer test. I pray for those who have wronged me instead of holding resentment. Wow. Y'all keep telling you guys that I'm going through a situation right now where at first, the situation that I was dealing with, it was just anger towards the person. And then God convicted my heart. And God told me to pray that this person have a Damascus Road experience. And so while a lot of my people in my family are just upset about the situation, I keep telling them that my prayer is that this person would have a Damascus Road experience. That as the Apostle Paul was struck down on the Damascus Road, and all he could see was a light, and then Jesus spoke to him, and he turned his life around. He gave his life to Christ. That's my prayer. My prayer is not resentment anymore. It's not anger, but it's that this person would come to know Jesus. That's my prayer. I could say, as wounded as I am, as wrong as I have been done, my prayer is that this person would get saved. Honestly, I can say that from the sincerity of my heart, that this person would get saved. The restoration test. I desire restoration with those who fall rather than rejection or removal. I find that sometimes the saints are just looking for somebody to fall so that they can jump on them. I'm not talking about unsaved fall. I'm talking about the saints so that they can point a finger, so that they can down talk them, instead of desiring to see this person restored. It's feelings of rejection, thoughts of rejection and removal. Uh, Number 8, the patience test. I am patient with people who grow or change more slowly than I do. I am patient with people who grow or change more slowly than I do. So these questions, the mercy test, where did you line up? Did you get a 4 on all of them? Or are they all consistently true in your life? Or were there some ones in there, some 2s? So you need this lesson. See, we need to get this lesson test to everybody so that they can see that they need this lesson, right? They need this Bible study. They need to take the mercy test. And if they come up short, then they say, well, I need this Bible study that Pastor Glaze is teaching. Let's get into it. Introduction. As has already been stated in the Beatitudes, Jesus, ooh, man, see, we hit right in the face from the jump street. Jesus is describing the character of those who belong to his kingdom. So when I was in the gym the other day and I gave that young lady the side eye and I was very sharp in my tone to her, that wasn't how a kingdom citizen behaves. That's not how the kingdom citizen operates. That the kingdom citizen is meek. Not get stepped on, not let people run over you, but the kingdom citizen has power under control. When Jesus says, blessed are the merciful, he is not just talking about a moment of kindness. He is revealing the heart posture of someone who has truly encountered God's grace. Mercy is not weakness, it is evidence. It shows that a person understands how much mercy they themselves have received from God. Those who have been forgiven much learn how to forgive others freely. Jesus teaches that mercy both flows from grace and leads to blessing, because those who extend mercy reflect the very heart of God, and are in doing so, they experience mercy afresh. What is the meaning of blessed? We already talked about that. Every week I'm going to bring this up. Makarios, and it means the happiness that's rooted in a relationship with God, right? And that the merciful are blessed. They are blessed by God. They have this joy that the world didn't give, and the world can't take it away. What is the meaning of merciful? Now, oh, don't miss this now, saints. This is good. This is good right here. The Greek word elimon describes a person who is actively compassionate, not merely feeling pity, but moved to action on behalf of someone in need. It carries the idea of being tenderhearted, ready to forgive, compassion that expresses itself, watch this now, in deeds. If mercy doesn't become mercy, oh, the Lord just gave this to me, and it's going to help somebody. The Lord just gave this to me. Mercy doesn't become mercy until it is acted upon. If you just say, I'm merciful, that don't mean anything. Mercy does not become mercy until it is acted upon, until you commit some act, until you do something. And now this is powerful. In the Greek translation of the Old Testament, the Septuagint, Psalm 103 verse 8 says, God is merciful. The Lord is the same Greek word. Now, again, remember the Old Testament was written in Hebrew and the New Testament was written in Greek. But there is a Greek translation of the Old Testament, and that's called the Septuagint. And the same word that's used in the New Testament for mercy is the same word that's used in Psalm 103, verse 8. The Lord, the Lord, the Lord, the Lord is merciful. God is merciful. How would you like for God to be merciful and you have a need or you're in trouble and God don't do anything, right? That's not mercy. Again, keep this in mind. Mercy doesn't become mercy until it is acted upon. What's the difference between mercy and some other qualities? So, what's the difference between mercy and justice? Justice, you get what you deserve, right? Mercy, when you go, if you robbed a bank and you get caught and you go to court and you're found guilty and they put you in jail, then you got what you deserved. You deserve to go to jail. But what does mercy do? Mercy withhold the 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 deserved judgment and offers compassion in need. That's why sometimes people, and you've heard this expression, right? They throw themselves on the what of the court? The mercy of the court, which means what? Don't give me what I deserve. Man, I'm teaching better than y'all zooming. I'm teaching better than y'all zooming. Mercy withholds the judgment and offers compassion instead. The court, the court asked the judge that the court would show mercy, right? Jesus teaches that kingdom people do not demand vengeance or retaliation. They extend mercy because they know they have been forgiven mercy. What is the difference between mercy and grace? Mercy is not getting what we deserve. Grace is not getting something we deserve. So when I put at the bottom, right there, mercy and grace. God, mercy God doesn't give us what we deserve. Grace, God gives us what we don't deserve. Oh man, I like that. Mercy is where God gives us what we deserve, doesn't give us what we deserve. You know, we deserve to go to hell, but mercy, God doesn't give it to us. And grace, God gives us what we don't deserve. We don't deserve grace, but he gives it to us anyways. So those are the differences between grace and mercy. So powerful concepts here. You know, some real powerful concepts when you think about mercy and justice and when you think about mercy and grace. Powerful, man. Powerful. Let's look at some biblical examples of being merciful. Some biblical examples of being merciful. So if you have your notes, you can take them out. And again, I would encourage you, hold on to these notes because might be a book one day. Pastor Glaze on the Beatitude. You already know what the title of the book is, right? You already know what the title of the book is. Beatitude check, right? Already got the title for the book. All right, so hold on to the notes. So let's look at this. Joseph forgives his brothers. Joseph had the power, man, man. Joseph had the power to punish the very men who betrayed his brothers. They betrayed him. They left him for dead. They threw him in a pit. They sold him into slavery. Joseph had the power to punish the very men who betrayed him, that sold him, and caused years of suffering. Instead, what did he do? He showed them mercy. And he did what? He forgave them. So, mercy shown is what? Withholding revenge. You know, Joseph had every right to seek revenge, but he didn't do it. Mercy is choosing reconciliation over retaliation. He chose to reconcile with his brothers instead of retaliate against them. So we see here that Joseph exercised mercy towards his brothers. What about the Good Samaritan? You know, we all remember the story of the Good Samaritan, how that a man was on the Jericho road. He got jumped, robbed, and beaten. And the priest and the Levi passed by him. And there was a Samaritan who didn't even have any association with the Jews. He kneeled down. He cleansed his wounds. He took him to an inn. And he said, if he costs anything more, let me know. When the next time I'm through, I'll pay for him. The Good Samaritan. The Samaritan showed mercy. As a matter of fact, if you go back and read that parable, Jesus said, which one of these showed mercy? And the Good Samaritan, he showed mercy. Mercy shown here is what? Compassion in action. He cleaned the man up. He bound up his wounds. He took him to a place of safety. That's mercy, compassion in action. Look, the priest and the Levite, they might have had mercy, but they kept going. That's why I keep saying, saints, that mercy, unless it's acted upon, is not mercy. That's why Jesus told the parable and said that which one showed mercy? And it was the Good Samaritan. And notice this, it was helping someone who couldn't repay him. Wow. Huh. Helping someone who couldn't repay him. He showed mercy on this individual, the Good Samaritan. Jesus forgives the woman caught in adultery. That this woman was, the Bible said, caught in the very act of adultery. I was going to quote this song from Parliament Funkadelic, but I'm not going to do that. Not going to do that. I'm not going to do that to y'all in Bible study. But it says that she was caught in the very act of adultery, right? And so these guys bring this lady to Jesus, and they want her to be stoned, right? And instead of stoning her, what does Jesus do? He shows her mercy. He shows her mercy. What was the mercy that was shown? See, I'm going back to the test now, the test that y'all took earlier. So these things are showing up in that test, right? What was the mercy that was shown here? Jesus withheld judgment. He said, where are the ones that condemn you? They had all cut out, man. They had all left. And Jesus said, neither do I condemn you. Mercy did what? Mercy withheld judgment. And I know a lot of saints have a hard time doing that. They have a hard time withholding judgment. Mercy, in this case, offers restoration instead of rejection. Jesus could have rejected her. But what did he do? Because he reached out in mercy, he restored her. He didn't reject her, he restored her. Mercy restores and not rejects. The father in the parable of the prodigal son, he showed mercy. Remember, the son had taken his inheritance and spent it on riotous living. Riotous living. And he ended up in the pig pen. And he came to himself. And when he came to himself, he said, in my father's house, there are provisions. And so he went back to his father's house. And when he went back, the father showed him mercy. What did the father do? He ran to meet his son. He restored him fully. He said, kill the fatted calf. Bring a robe and put on him. Put the ring on his finger. He restored him. What does mercy do in this case? Mercy shows compassion towards the undeserving. That son didn't deserve that. He had taken his inheritance. He wasn't supposed to get his inheritance until his father died. But he took his inheritance and he wasted it. And yet still the father showed compassion on him when he came back. Compassion towards the undeserving. And then restoration instead of punishment. He could have beat the son, sent him out in the field to work. But what did he do? He restored him instead of punishing him. Mercy restores instead of punishes. Go back to the test. How did you do on the test that we took? How did you do on the mercy test? And then finally, we see Jesus at the cross. And while suffering on the cross, Jesus looked down at those who had crucified him, who had beaten him, who had spit on him, who rejected him. And he says what? Father, forgive them. Father, show them mercy. Show them mercy, Lord, for they know not what they do. In this case, what does mercy do? Mercy offers forgiveness in the face of cruelty. It offers forgiveness in the face of cruelty. And mercy extends love even toward the enemies. Again, this real life situation that I'm dealing with, I can honestly say I've gotten to the place. Even though it's continuous, spitting in my face, I can say that I have love in my heart for this person. I have love in my heart. You can only do that through the Holy Spirit, man. You know what I'm saying? You can only do that through the Holy Spirit. Because you remember a couple of weeks ago in the Steelers game, one of the guys spit on one of the Steelers, and they actually got into a fight. And I was doing some reading, after that, and one of the things that uh, I read, and this is true, I know it's true, that if you were on the street and somebody spit on you, it's on, man, right? I, it's on. Spit, that's one of the most disgusting things that somebody could do to another person is spit on, right? And so we see that that's what they did to Christ. One of the most disgusting things that can be done to another human being. And what did he do? He loved them. He loved them. I think of that song. You remember that song, That's Love? They hung him high and they stretched him wide. That's love. You know, uh, they buried him, and 3 days later he rose. That's love. Watch it. Pastor Glaze, I'm gonna put one in there, right? Let me put this one in there. They spit on him, and he continued to love him. That's love. That is love. Wow. I tell you, man, these Beatitudes are rough, Jack. They are rough. I leave every Wednesday, man. I leave beaten, bruised, and bloody. But I thank God that it's showing up during the week. Again, I go back to the gym situation. I don't know, man, if I hadn't been studying the Beatitudes, I mean, the Holy Spirit, could have spoke to my heart, but maybe it would have spoke it to my heart in another way. But spoke to me specifically by saying, hey, man, you're supposed to be meek. You are supposed to be meek. And yet and still, I cop the attitude. I as I heard somebody say, I got somehow, right? I got somehow. Oh man. Moving on. So again, not going to spend a lot of time on this. What is the meaning of they? And the idea is they and they alone, right? Blessed are merciful, for they and they alone shall receive the kind of mercy that Jesus is talking about. Now, people might receive other kind of mercy, but the kind of mercy that Jesus is talking about, only those who show mercy will receive mercy. What does it mean to obtain mercy? Two powerful concepts that if we obtain mercy, if we are merciful, we talked about, what it meant to be merciful. But when we are merciful, it says that we should obtain mercy. So what are we going to obtain? Two things. It means that believers will not receive the wrath of God. We deserve to experience the full brunt of God's wrath towards sin. I gave my illustration a couple weeks ago in church about the truck with the two angels that said the wrath of God on the side. And they were just running down people in this truck left and right. And they said, there goes Pastor Glaze, let's run him down. So they aimed the truck towards me. And just when they got almost to me, to smash me into smithereens, Jesus pushed me out of the way. And he took the hit for me. That's mercy. That's the mercy of God. That I was the one that deserved the punishment. I was the one that deserved to suffer. I was the one that deserved to take the hit. But God sent his son to take it in my place. That's mercy. That's mercy. God was merciful to me. When you pray, God, be merciful to me, a sinner, you are saying to God, Lord, I don't deserve your mercy. I deserve to be punished. Lord, be merciful to me. It goes back to throwing yourself on the mercy court, right? Justice is you get what you deserve. You deserve to go to jail, right? That's what you deserve. But mercy says that I'm going to take away the judgment. I'm going to take away the penalty. When we are merciful, what do we obtain? We obtain mercy. We obtain mercy, and God will not pour his wrath out on us. The second thing, when we talk about mercy, it means to live in the ongoing experience of God's mercy. I'm going to read this right from the notes. This is good. It means believers will not receive, it means to live in the ongoing experience of God's mercy. Notice this. To obtain mercy means to continually experience God's merciful dealings in our lives. Those who show mercy demonstrate that they have truly encountered God's. Oh. Those who show mercy demonstrate that they truly have encountered God's mercy. And God continues to pour it out on them. Blessed are they who are merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. The more mercy we show, the more mercy God pours on us. Notice one of ours, I was going to say y'all's, but I'm going to say ours. One of our favorite verses that we probably, everybody, there's not probably a person on this Bible study right now that couldn't quote this verse. Psalm 26:3. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. Mercy will follow you all the days of your life. And how can you get mercy to follow you all the days of your life? If you are a person who shows mercy. If you are a person who shows mercy, it will follow you like a dog running after a rabbit. If you go to Africa, in the bush, like a lion running after a gazelle, mercy will follow you. It will track you down. No matter where you're at, mercy will find you. That's what David is saying in Psalm 23, that if you show mercy, man, it will track you down. If you're in Pittsburgh, mercy will be right behind you. If you get on a plane and fly to Hawaii, when you get off the plane, mercy is still right behind you. If you go to Israel and land in the Holy Land and turn around, mercy will follow you. Those who show mercy, mercy follows them all of their lives. Let's look at, as I wind this up, what are some practical ways that you can be merciful? What are some practical ways that you can be merciful? See, again, I just don't want to teach a Bible study. I want you to be able to apply it. And so that's what we're looking at now. How do you apply all that I've just now taught? We gave you a test, the start. We've taught on what mercy is. Now, how do you apply it? All right. First of all, let me see here. Okay. Forgive when you have the right to retaliate. Mercy chooses grace over revenge. Be kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another. Ephesians 4:32. How do you apply it? Release resentment instead of rehearsing hurt. Sometimes people go over the hurt in their mind over and over and over and over and over and over, and you hold on to it. You got to release that hurt, man. You got to release it. Pray for those who have wronged you. Pray for those who have wronged you. Just like I'm praying. Lord, let this person have a Damascus Road experience. Secondly, show compassion to those who are hurting. Mercy sees pain and responds. The scripture says that Jesus was moved with compassion. How do you apply this? Listen without judgment. Listen without judgment. Man, I tell you what, saints, sometimes we could be the roughest crowd because, we want to, as soon as somebody tells us something that they did wrong, or, we hear about somebody that did, the first thing we do is we quick to judge, man. We are quick to judge. And here the person is hurting, no matter what they did, if there was, if it's their fault or not their fault. Galatians says, you who are spiritual, restore such a one in the spirit of meekness. Somebody said this, that the Christian army is the first to shoot its wounded. Wow. Wow. Man, we need to be showing some compassion to people who are hurting, right? People who did wrong. They messed up. And they're hurting. And we jump on the bandwagon, jump on top of it. We pile on instead of showing mercy. It means to offer comfort instead of criticism. Offer comfort instead of criticism. 3, help someone who cannot repay you. Mercy gives without expecting a return. The application: serve quietly, give generously. Serve quietly, give generously. Extend grace to people who fall. Mercy allows room for growth. The Lord is slow to anger. The Lord is merciful. How does his mercy shine forth? He's slow to anger. He's slow to anger. What's the application? Be patient when people make mistakes. Oh, wow. Be patient when people make mistakes. Encourage rather than condemn. Encourage rather than condemn. Speak kindly instead of harshly. Mercy controls the tongue. A soft answer turns away wrath. How can I apply this? Respond gently when emotions arise. Respond gently when your emotions arise and get the best of you. Choose words that heal instead of wounding. Proverbs says, speak life and not death. Choose words that heal and not wound. Pray for those who don't deserve it. Mercy intercedes instead of ignoring. Jesus said, pray for those that despitefully use you. What is the application? Lift others, even your enemies, up before God. Pray for them. And ask God, I have a hard one with this now, saints. I have a hard one with this. Ask God to bless them and not judge them. You know what I want, right? Get them, God. Sick them, God. That's what I want. Ask God to bless them and not judge them. Meet practical needs when you see them. Again, as I said over and over again in this study, that mercy is action. Mercy that's not acted upon is not mercy. Mercy moves feelings into action. What is the application here? Uh, Feed the hungry, visit the sick, support the struggling. And then finally, give people a second chance. Mercy believes God is still working. Jesus told the woman who was taken in adultery, he gave her a second chance. He said, I don't condemn you. Go and sin no more. I don't condemn you. Go and sin no more. He showed her mercy. What is the application? Restore rather than reject, and correct with love. Correct with love. So this is the lesson today. Blessed are the merciful, for they and they alone shall receive mercy. All right.